Hello, I'm Andy Duffy. I'm here to speak to you about the geography of Eastern Australia. Some general geographic features would include desert, rainforest, mountains, deciduous forest, wetlands, and beachfront. Pretty much what you see here in North America. However, there are more of a few things in Australia, as far as there's a way more desert for their size of landmass. Pretty much the entire central area of Australia is desert, and basically the outer portions of Australia are the sections with the rainforest, mountains, and deciduous forest. Now, as far as specific geography, Northeast Australia is one of that is a very diverse particular section of Australia because up in the far northeast, you have lots of rainforest and many plants that you wouldn't see anywhere else in the world. And then as you kind of tend to travel a little bit south, the land gradually transitions into more of a grassland type dry sort of area. And then as you move on, you eventually get to East Central Australia, which is largely arid grassland, and that also receives very little rain. And what little water there is in these areas is from streams and a few scattered rivers. However, deciduous trees aren't non-existent. As you go further towards the coast, trees are more and more of a regular sight because there's generally higher moisture content as you go towards the coast. Kind of makes sense. Now, as far as southern Australia, there are largely various types of deciduous forest, more of a focus of eucalyptus forest in some areas. For example, in Sydney, Australia, which is one of the places I went while I was over there, about 2 hours outside of Sydney were the Blue Mountains, as I just said, and what it was is a just huge mass of just straight eucalyptus trees. And the reason they called them the Blue Mountains is because all those eucalyptus trees gave off fumes or gases that actually made the atmosphere from a distance appear blue, thus making the mountains look blue or bluer. So they obviously got called the Blue Mountains. A general rule of thumb for Australia is that as you move away from the coast, the more arid and dry it gets. Pretty much, I would say, if you move anywhere in Australia, let's say you're on the coast, anywhere, if you move 200 miles inland, you're going to start getting to some pretty dry areas because as I said before, the entire central region of Australia is just totally desert. The only true inhabitable parts of Australia are on the coast, which is why more than 75% of the population in Australia actually lives on the coast. Like, if you think about it, all the major cities, like for example there's Cairns up in the northeast in the rainforest type section that's close to the coast. There's Sydney, which is way far down in the southeast region of Australia. That's that's a harbor city actually. And then you have Melbourne, which is the city that experienced Brisbane, they experienced the bad flooding recently, which is also a harbor town. So pretty much all their major cities are on the coast. So, and their cities is where most of the people live in Australia. So Australia really is a gorgeous and diverse land. And it's really something that I think it's a place that everyone should see at least one time in their life, just to see the sheer diversity that such a pretty small country can offer. Now, as far as so you can get a visual image of kind of what the land looks like as far as geography and climate type. For Australia, here's a little graph map. As you can see, up here in the north, where you see the mouse moving around, right around here is Cairns, and you can see this dark green is all rainforest. Then as you move down, right around here in this region is Brisbane. Then you see kind of a subtropical type climate, and there's a lot of deciduous type trees around in here. And then you move further down. Right down in here is Sydney, and that's just a temperate climate. Right down around in here in this blue section is pretty much like North America, most of Eastern, North America. And then you got a few places down here like Melbourne, which is also temperate. So yeah, you can see just by this map that also this big, huge mass surrounding here of red and tan is all desert and dry grassland. So you can see that most of Australia isn't really very usable in terms of farming and land, just because of the sheer, just the geography of it. Only the coast provide a good area that's for humans and supporting them as far as farming and whatnot. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say to you all, and thank you for listening.